for sharing that on to us. I'll now pass it on to Esther. Esther, you're ready to go? I will let you take the platform.
Okay, thanks, Matt. And I will also share my screen. Here we go. Hopefully, there's something I want to do here. Give me a sec. So you can see my screen. It says perspective positivity. Yeah, you're on. Okay, great. All right, sorry, I'm just getting my slides in here. Okay, so Matt, you asked me to talk about some positivity that's happening, you know, in my practice. So rather than share a sales idea or tip, I just thought I'll give you a little bit of an insight into my head, which is a bit of a scary place to be sometimes. First, a disclaimer, because how can we do a presentation without a disclaimer of some sort? So I got to tell you all, I'm very lucky that I was born positive anyway, and so crazy that not only am I positive in my nature, my blood type is B positive. So if I'm ever somewhere with you guys and I lose a lot of blood, you know I'm B positive. Okay, and I know sometimes I come across as a bit of a ball breaker, but really, if you just leave me alone and do the right thing, I can be quite nice. So there's my disclaimer. Anyway, I thought let's go back to the basics. I mean, we're an MDRT group, so let's go back to the basics of what MDRT is all about, because I actually have used the concept of, I mean, we've all heard it. There's nothing new you're going to hear here, but these are the points of what it is to be a whole person. And when I've done community presentations, not necessarily about finance, but about leadership and taking charge and aspirations and all that sort of thing, I have actually put this up on those slideshows, because to me, MDRT is aligned mentally with my philosophy and outlook in life, as well as my outlook in my upbringing as a Jewish woman. So many of you know that I'm brought up in the Jewish community, and I actually have to ask if there's any atheists here before we continue. Hopefully not. If there are, I'm sorry, you might not appreciate everything. So this isn't going to be a Bible lecture, but I will be referring a little bit, because it's amazing how much I was actually brought up. I went to an Orthodox Jewish girls' school, and I've been brought up with a Hasidic, if you're familiar with that or not, outlook in life. And it's actually unbelievable how much synergy there is when we start to go into, you know, question our existence and our search for happiness and meaning and purpose, which is what we do as individuals, and try to bring our clients on that journey with, that there is so much that is just identical. A couple of times I've said to, you know, at a family get together, I've mentioned something and my dad says, oh, you know, that's taught in the book of whoever. And I'm like, nah, because I was just messing around and getting kicked out of class back then. So moving on. So there is a concept that is often used. It's in Yiddish, it sounds a lot different than how it sounds in English, but it's the same thing. Think good and it would be good. And the power of that. Countless stories of actually what you can change a destiny with the way you think. Okay, so I mean, in the Bible it says that man's made in God's image, and if God is completely self-sustaining and he's an ultimate source and he's not dependent on anyone and he doesn't need anyone to tell him what to do, and he created the world and everything in it, he's the creator. And we ourselves are creators of our own destiny. We're the masters of our own mindset. And that is a philosophy that I very much aspire to, because as we all know, no one's ever going to do it for us. You know, I remember when I first got married and my ex-husband had all these shirts, and I woke up, I went to bed at night wishing that somehow in the morning those shirts were going to be ironed. And it was a very tough lesson, because they weren't, they were there. And I realized pretty quick, if I don't do it, no one else is going to do it. Simple. So there's two really good books here. One is called Think Good and It Will Be Good, actually written by a rabbi. And the other one here, Learned Optimism. And I thought that was fascinating. I wanted to have it hanging around my house, because I just like people to pick it up, and I want my kids to pick it up and see that, you know what, people often throw lines at me, and my parents do this sometimes because they're warriors by nature. Oh, it's easy for you. You know how to just let things just slide. I don't always, and it's not always the healthiest attitude, to be honest, but you can learn positivity and optimism and good headspace if you want to put yourself there. And I'm probably, as I said, preaching to the converted with all this. So part of what, if we get now into a little bit more, you know, some more effective points that I can discuss with you, is things that I've actually put into action. So I have adopted, you know, a consciousness around having a contrarian mindset. I'm not going to apologize for it. If I have opinions or if I feel like I have to do something that the crowd's not doing, I'll do it. I'm not going to be offensive to anybody. I'm going to be careful where I say what, because we have to be professionals. But, you know, I want to be a contrarian in the way I conduct myself, because that ultimately is going to make me a leader. And if I can stand out as a leader, then it's so much easier to deal with people. People just come and, you know, they listen to what you tell them because they're already walking through your door with that expectation or confidence that you are someone that knows what you're talking about. So, I mean, who's the most famous contrarian that we all collectively should be able to identify is Warren Buffett. I mean, how many comments and things has he come up with over the years that's been totally contrary to the belief of the media and all that other rubbish that's out there. That's just a little bit of philosophy and what makes me tick. So what have I actually done over the last, let's say, 6 months or this COVID period? So contrarian, you know, people have huddled, they've gone into their shelves, they've boo-hooed, felt sorry for themselves. There's nothing like a good world challenge or epidemic for me to go, right, now get on top of it, stop procrastinating. So we've actually employed a couple of people, and I haven't been scared of my cash flow and how am I going to do it. I've made some, you know, precision decisions. That'll be on the next slide. But we've actually employed a casual admin for ad hoc tasks and projects that have been sitting on my whiteboard going, I need to do. They're getting done. So proactivity is definitely happening. And someone who's become a transformation specialist who, it's just a fancy, I like giving my staff interesting titles to make them feel a bit motivated that they're actually making a significant difference to the business. We've invested in technology. So I've adopted something called Ring Central, something I've thought about for the last couple of years. I've only adopted it now. That makes our PABX, which we never really had a proper one, completely universal and global. So anyone in my office and my team can be anywhere in the world, and we will put phone calls through to each other, take messages, receive messages. No one has to know where we are. I don't want this to happen, but if my building burnt down, we are still in business. From 2 minutes later, we are in business. So that's been really good. Not a lot, no downtime. There's ways to transition it to make it really smooth, and that's that. The working from home situation. So lots of flexibility. I'm empowering my staff to actually make their own decisions about how they feel about it. Obviously, whatever the government comes up with, that's primarily what we have to use as a guide, as a first point. And everyone has the opportunity to decide what works for them, because I don't need anxious people sitting in my office doing nothing. I'd rather them be where they feel safe. And I'm actually finding that there's less anxiety. Everyone's got freedom to express what they want. There's autonomy, there's trust, work is getting done. The next thing I've done, which I never thought I would do, is I actually made a decision to do a renovation in my house. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I'm not the renovate your house type. I want ready-made. I want to walk in and that is it. But I'm in a relationship now, which I haven't been for nearly 20 years. And I just needed to move forward with stuff. And I'm on this mission of moving forward. I'm like, my kids are like, what the hell, are you going to do a renovation to the house? Yep, the plans are literally in the process of being drawn up as we speak. So pretty much what I've done is I've reset my attitude in the business as well. I used to do this when my kids were little. My house, my rules. You know, if your friends don't like it, they don't have to come. I don't care. But I'm doing that in my business as well. My house, my rules. Making some precision, you know, decision making. I'm not faltering on my decisions. If I've got a gut feeling about something, I'm running with it. obviously you've got to do your due diligence, so you can't be stupid about it. But if something in your gut is telling you something to do it, because it's usually right. And how often do we do things and say, oh, you know, if I would have done that 2 years ago. So I'm not crying over spilt milk, and I can, but I won't. That's not me. And that's it. I also have a reputation that I built within my community, and there's not a lot of Jewish financial advisors, and certainly if there are any other female financial advisors, I don't know where they are, Jewish female financial advisors. So a lot of people come to me and try to come to me, and my name gets thrown around in circles where probably it shouldn't, because then everyone thinks that that's who I service. So what I'm trying to do now is more referring and less fixing. Sorry, I can't help you, but go to so-and-so. Not necessarily another advisor, but another resource, because they're not necessarily the sort of clients that other advisors may want. And of course, learning how to say no. So I won't say I've mastered it, because sometimes I'm saying to myself, say no, say no, say no, and I still say yes. But just reminding myself every now and then, you know, it's just the attitude. Now, Catherine, who works with me, said to me this morning, she says, Esther, I just feel, you know, you're always outspoken, you're always, you know, out there, but now I just feel like you've got a lot more clarity, and you know, it just seems you're on a mission, but a healthy mission. So that's pretty much the summary is, I mean, just you can read it for yourselves there, but you know, we've had no downtime. We're changing up. We can change, the office infrastructure is set up virtually that we can change our arrangements from 1 minute to the next and still be in business. We are now busier doing more quality work. The team is cohesive and processes are just flowing. My whiteboard behind here that has all these different headings, including one called stuff, has stuff being wiped off it. And I'm just really feeling optimistic. I don't care about all the crap. I don't care about the markets. And guess what? I've lost a few kilos, so, and not from stress. Not from stress. So that's just some of my, like I said, I'm unpacking my head a little, and that's what's helped. And thank God I'm in a good place. We work in a great environment. We've got a great team of people and support. And yeah, we can make a difference. So that's it. That's my little pearls of wisdom for the day.
Well done. Thanks, Esther. And it's
You're
great
welcome.
that you've taken this opportunity to take a crisis and use it as a positivity, as to drive you forward and say, well, I've had enough, and other than sitting there and having a big pity party. But that's fantastic, and ticking off all those things. So that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome stuff. So that's great. Thanks very much for that.